Let's now get to those updates coming in from the battlefield that refuses to slow down in terms of the action there. A front line where every hour, in a way, is redrawing the map. Russia-Ukraine war, the most intense 24 hours, in a way, as both sides brace for a decisive turn. Our next report telling you more.
Ukraine's eastern front is collapsing into chaos, marking a pivot point in this grinding conflict. Russian forces are unleashing a brutal, focused offensive, shattering defenses and tightening the sidelines. This is not a slow retreat, it is a catastrophic breach. Across the front line, Ukrainian brigades are facing a tidal wave of steel and fire, an assault so overwhelming it has erased entire units in mere hours. Moscow claims to have neutralized a staggering 1,250 soldiers in the last 24 hours alone, a figure that is difficult to verify independently amidst the fog of war, but the scale of the destruction is undeniable. The relentless pressure is visible from the sky. Newly released drone footage shows what was once a Ukrainian town, now a wasteland of dust and shattered concrete. Troops trapped in these cities in Ukraine's eastern Donetsk region are sending desperate pleas for extraction and resupply.
The situation is difficult. Not just difficult, but very difficult. Currently, there are very big problems. First of all, with logistics. That is, as of now, for a very long time, no transport at all has been able to enter there due to very close contact with the enemy, and a huge number of both FPV drones and drones that carry out remote mining.
On the diplomatic track, things are moving rapidly. President Putin confirmed his recent contact with a key Trump envoy, describing the peace talks as difficult. President Trump believes his Russian counterpart wants to end the Ukraine war.
You spoke with Mr. Witkoff and with Mr. Kushner last night. Did they give you the sense that President Putin still wants to end the war, wants to make peace?
He would like to end the war. That's what that was their impression. Now, whether or not, that was their impression. Their impression was that he would like to see the war ended.
Ukrainian officials warn that multiple settlements in Donetsk are now under extreme pressure. Russian units continue pushing west with fresh reserves. For now, Ukrainians are holding, but the question looms, for how long? Bureau report, WION World is one.
Meanwhile, the U.S. Secretary of War is fighting a battle not just overseas, but also in Washington. Members of his own party are allegedly questioning whether he should continue leading the Pentagon. That's right. And the backlash reportedly started following a closed-door briefing on U.S. missions targeting suspected drug smugglers across Latin America. Senior Republicans reportedly grew furious when the Pentagon officials failed to explain the legal basis for attacking the civilian vessels. According to a Wall Street Journal report, lawmakers also complained that the U.S. Defense Department did not send any legal advisors to justify the missions. While the Defense Department officials who did attend this classified briefing allegedly were unable to explain the mission strategy and also the scope. And this comes as both the U.S. House of Representatives and Senate Armed Services Committees have reportedly launched separate investigations last week into a September 2nd U.S. military strike. that killed at least 11 people. Reports alleging that 2 survivors of the initial missile attack were later struck again as they clung on to the wreckage. Legal experts, lawmakers reportedly questioning whether a war crime may have occurred. Admiral Frank Broadley, who oversaw the mission in September, is scheduled to meet with lawmakers this week. And according to the WSJ report, while some Republicans continue to have confidence in Hegset's leadership, for many the confidence has allegedly eroded sharply during his 10 months in office. The Washington Post reported that Hegset gave a verbal order to eliminate everyone on the targeted boat, a directive that allegedly guided nearly 20 similar strikes. When 2 people survived the first missile, Admiral Broadley reportedly ordered a second strike to follow Hegset's instruction. And that's not even all. Separately, the Pentagon's internal watchdog has concluded that Hegset's use of the Signal messaging app in March this year to discuss Yemen strikes may have exposed U.S. troops to danger. The controversy surfaced early this year when the American magazine The Atlantic revealed that its editor-in-chief, remember, was accidentally added to a Signal group chat in which Hegset and former National Security Advisor Mike Waltz discussed strikes against the Houthis in Yemen, which included details about the timing of the strikes, the type of the aircraft to execute it, also the kind of missiles which would be used. The details were reportedly shared just 2 hours before the first American bombs began falling in Yemen on the 15th of March. And the internal Pentagon inquiry found that Hegset's use of the app could have endangered American personnel and missions, especially if it had been disclosed to a foreign adversary like the Houthis, who could have used the information to actually take down American planes or better defend their positions. While Mike Waltz was soon replaced as National Security Advisor, Trump rejected calls for Hegset to be fired. Europe worrying that a war with Russia is imminent, with more and more NATO countries arming for a direct war. Reportedly, in the latest, Lithuania has unveiled an expanded conscription plan that will run year-round from 2026. You heard that right. A 24/7 conscription. If imposed, it will make the Baltic state one of the most mobilized members of the NATO. And at a time when Europe is accelerating its militarization in response to the war in Ukraine. Now, under the plan, young people will be assessed for fitness at the age of 17 through mandatory health checks. They can then be called up straight after high school. The armed forces say they intend to recruit around 5,000 people every year. Most will serve 9 months of mandatory service, while smaller groups will basically be assigned shorter specialist terms, junior officer training, or multi-year part-time basic training. In the year 2015, Lithuania restored compulsory military service after a 7-year suspension, later making the draft permanent. Officials say the new expansion is a targeted step in strengthening national defense and describe military readiness as a key priority in today's security environment. But it's not just Lithuania. Across Europe, compulsory service is returning. Sweden, in fact, brought back the draft. This was in the year 2017. Croatia voted in October to reinstate it after a 17-year pause. Latvia plans to extend the draft to women by 2028, while Estonia and Finland have already increased annual recruitment. European NATO members have also agreed to boost military spending to 5% of the GDP. Lithuania has recently approved a record defense budget for 2026. A record defense budget worth 4.79 billion euros, or more than 5% of the GDP. These measures are all framed as responses to what NATO members describe as a Russian threat. Moscow denies this, calling the allegations of hostile intent nonsense and fear-mongering. The Kremlin has also condemned what it calls reckless Western militarization, arguing that arms deliveries to Ukraine only prolong the conflict without changing the outcome. For now, Lithuania says its year-round conscription is about preparedness. The plan will come into force in 2026 as Europe builds up its armed forces at a pace not seen since the end of the Cold War. Amid the destruction in southern Gaza, a rare moment of joy has brought hope for thousands. A mass wedding in Khan Yunis turned rubble into a stage and grief into celebration for that moment. 54 young couples exchanged vows standing on ground shattered by the war. The ceremony, backed by the UAE, took place outdoors on a platform built directly over the rubble on a stage that in Arabic means for gown of joy. Decorated with flowers, surrounded by Palestinian flags, crowds gathered around that stage, cheering on, singing traditional songs, celebrating. Families, members, elders embraced the couples, celebrating unity after years of loss. The UAE organizers reportedly selected the grooms and brides through a lottery system, drawing from thousands of applications across Gaza. Many young people applied, knowing that a normal wedding has become impossible to afford after 2 years of war and displacement. The event was fully funded by a humanitarian initiative from the UAE. The selected couples received tents, clothing, everything needed for a traditional ceremony. Items that many families in Gaza can no longer provide on their own. In Palestinian culture, weddings are a major social milestone that end up, of course, bringing families together and shaping their futures. Although the war has crushed homes and resources, the mass wedding showing that the desire for love, for being together, for community and for hope continues to stand. To stay up to speed with the latest news, download the WION app and subscribe to our YouTube channel.